Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. The power of the pause is so important. Even when you're talking and you put a pause in there, people listen. Same thing in life. Sometimes you need to put a pause in there. We're going to talk about the power of the pause and how that relates to moving your life forward, new realizations. She has a great story, amazing story, and inspirational for all of us. She coaches people, she inspires, she's a motivational speaker, and so much more. And she is Jessica Niss, and she joins us on the program today. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm going to pause. I am intrigued about your mindset.
Okay.
And I want to go right there. We're going to get to your story in just a moment. Or do you think we should talk about your story and then go from there? What do you think?
I think we can unpack it in, lots of different ways, but I think it'll come back to the same reminder over and over again. So however you want to drive, I am right here helping to navigate. So
sure. All right. Well, I'll try and drive. I've only just got my license.
I know, right?
When we talk about pausing, how do you mean that?
I think all of us, wake up in the morning. We have things that we know that we're going to be doing going forward. There's for the most part, all of us have our routine during the day. And there are things that happen during the day that we have not kind of put on our schedule. So when those come to us, when we're presented with those things, whether they're high consequence or low consequence, we all use what we had before, our ladder of inference. We're all building that continuously. And so the choices we make, some of them are just very, our muscle memory tells us what the good choice is. And then there's some that if we make a choice right then with how we're feeling, the consequences may not turn out to be favorable. And so the pause is one that we need to practice instead of giving an answer or saying yes to something that we haven't considered all the things, or even no to something that we haven't considered all the things. If we stop and pause, I think that we're going to be able to have more peace in our life, flat out. Create less chaos.
What I'm getting from you here is that the pause is essential to almost reevaluate the situation, because many times we act from emotion.
Yes.
We act very rashly. Something happens, we get triggered.
Yep.
And we do something. And then we look back and like, why did I do that? That wasn't the right choice.
Right. So the pause is in interpersonal relationships with our reaction, our reactionary emotion, if you will. It's in, work relationships. It's on the road when we're driving, all the choices that we are given throughout the day. If we start practicing to pause, we will find, and I keep saying this, more peace in our life. It creates less chaos.
You're right. Yeah. And I lived and am living that now, because previously when things would come up, and every day, the things that you didn't plan them, they popped up. Right. And right away, you're like, oh, yeah, why did that happen? What am I going to do? DEFCON 3, now it's 4. What am I going to do? And now, having realized what you're talking about, and there's different ways to get there in terms of rewiring your brain and the mindset.
Right.
When it comes up, just came up late yesterday, had a situation, woke up this morning, turned on my phone. Situation is still a situation.
Right.
Long story short, in that, I'm fully transparent. I have a marketing company. We do social media, lots of other stuff.
Sure.
And I get a client text that a post and ad is talking about Christmas. Like a blank. And it's a glitch. We can't even duplicate it. They saw it. I'm like, what's going on here? So I look at it. I'm like, the old me would be marinating on that for hours. Somebody's not happy. You got to take care of that. But it was the initial, what's up with that? And I was like, all right, let me explain to them what's going on. Let's work through this. Let's see what the fixes are. Let's report it to Meta, i.e. Instagram and Facebook, and go from there. But my point here is the old me would have been spinning in a freak out mode. And that's just one example. It could be anything. It could be even you're driving down the road, somebody cut you off.
Yeah.
What's your first response?
Yeah. What are you going to do in that moment? We could, keep feeding off of what I felt in that moment, which then feeds the other driver because perhaps your actions, now, they're going to know how upset I am. Well, if we see what happens if that keeps going, and, so if
they call it road rage.
Road rage. And, I am from Midwest Minnesota. We don't have a whole lot of, big traffic where I am. We have a 4-lane highway, 2 on each side. And even with that, I think what happens is that people know what they need to be doing and they're going somewhere. And when someone else interrupts what they're doing, they get a little bit upset. Even in Midwest Minnesota, the nice region of the world, everybody's Minnesota nice. We still see people that will literally get right up on your back bumper. And I'm thinking, are you trying to see which radio station I'm listening to? I mean, if you need to move over and pass me, go right ahead. But I'm in the lane that I'm in. So anyway, road rage is a real thing. It's a real thing. So
I'm going to press the pause for a moment. This is a digression. Minnesota. Where's your accent?
Where's my accent? Oh, it can happen. I've been everywhere and people will say, where are you from? There's certain words that will bring me back home. So yeah.
I get the same thing. I'm from New York. How come you don't talk like you're from New York? Well, my friends talk. I don't know. I didn't take any the radio broadcast training. This is just how I talk. Or I'm sorry, talk. That's how I talk.
Yeah, coffee, right?
Coffee, right? The Long Island. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
The pause is essential. And I want to get to your story in a second, but one more, and we'll revisit the pause in a moment. But when we don't pause, is what's happening our autopilot, i.e. our subconscious? We're just going back to things. How do we deal with that in the past? It might not be the same situation. It might be the same feeling. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. A lot of us react in the same way. You get angry, you yell, words come out of your mouth, finger comes up, and all of that.
Yeah.
Is that coming from our subconscious?
That comes from not having a handle on what really matters.
Okay. Gotcha.
What really matters? What am I going? We only get so much of our tank full during the day. Our energy tank only goes so full. What do I want to spend? And what receipts am I getting at the end of the day? And so if I don't need to spend my energy there. There's so many more things that my purpose for today can give that energy to. So it really does come to practicing it though, because we are all, moving along in this world and we're trying to get from, A to B. And there's lots of ways to get there, and dependent on if we feel heard and if we feel seen, and we all get there differently, but we all can practice not spending our energy where is it serving you or are you serving it? I mean, it just...
You are the first person I've ever met, and I've talked about energy and all of this a bazillion times.
Yes.
You're saying what I always say in terms of how much energy we have.
Yeah.
What are you going to, like your gas in your tank? what are you going to do with that? And that was my wake up call in terms of who am I going to give my energy to?
Yeah.
Who? Not just the situations, but who? And
Right.
that's where the boundaries came up, the borders came up. And it's
Yes.
like, no, you're not. I don't mean this in a negative way, but you're not
No.
worth it.
No, I'm not going to give you my level 10 access if you're going to meet it with a level 2 responsibility. You don't get that
Exactly.
access to me anymore, you know? So,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. And it really does bring more peace into you. And then it creates peace that kind of not only reflects off of you, but you introduce that into the spaces that you go into.
Yep.
And peace is what we all want. I mean, it's what we all want. So,
You don't know that you don't have peace until you realize it when you do have peace. And again, it's not about me, but I share realizations. And this is only a journey of about 5 years. And I would go to church and everybody say, peace be with you, peace be with you, peace be with you. And I'm like, hey, peace be with you. Hey. I don't know what they were talking about.
right.
I had no idea. They would even ask me, they're like, hey, you have a nice voice. Can you go up there and read from, the gospel? I'm like, yeah, sure. Whatever you want. I didn't even know what I was reading. I was just doing my thing for the community until I realized I didn't have peace.
Right.
And you don't know it until you get it. Then it's like,
And I just got goosebumps when you said that all moment, that aha moment. It's pretty powerful. And you just
remember it
want
too.
everyone else to experience it. It's like, because when you're able to get there and you share it with others, that's giving God glory that, you're using your things, your hardships and your joys to be able to be that testimony for that other person to say, okay, they got to the other side of this. They just the fact that they got to the other side of this and how did they get there, and it's to be able to be that the light in a very dark room sometimes for some people. So
And that's kind of where it began with me. I've had a lot going on, kind of in a tornado of challenges. And I walked out of here, I don't know, 4 years ago to the parking lot. I'm in an office building and I looked up at the sun and I have what I felt was a quiet calm. It's like, it's going to be all right. You got this. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
And then that was maybe that's the peace thing that they're talking about. Tell me about your journey. What, Jessica, what got you here?
So I'm a mom and I've been, a mom, some say for my whole life. Even in grade school, high school, all the guys would call me mom because I was always a risk assessor. It's like, be careful, don't do that. You're going to get in trouble, and I wasn't in a way that was disciplinary. It really did come from a point of, I want the best for you. Okay. And that's at a core what parents are, right? I want the best for you. It may not look pretty going through it. You may not like what I'm saying at this moment, but I truly have the best for you in mind and I'm doing my best. And so I became a mother at a very young age. Eric John is my oldest. He was born when I was 19 and I remember doing all the jobs before that I thought I was going to prepare myself for motherhood. I was sorely mistaken. No babysitting job out there could have prepared me for the pouring that needs to happen in order for, this little one to have the foundation of safety, right? Because we all need that foundation in order to level up. And so, like I said, I am a mom. And so Eric John is my oldest, and I'm a mother of 6 children. My youngest is Benjamin. So I have 5 boys and 1 girl. Camille is 14 years old. And it just so happens that my oldest, Eric John, and my youngest, Benjamin, my bookends are in heaven. And so I only have 4 here on earth. So I have had the heartache, that makes you feel like you're just kind of glitter, right? You have purpose still. You have these other children, but just my personal best of getting out of bed in the morning was literally my personal best because I am I've already got a foot in heaven, right? And so being here, it's not that I didn't want to be here, but there is just this thin veil that you just yearn to have them right here. So the catalyst to me beginning, my beginning is a mother, and I stand on that foundation as a mother. And so Selah is a business that the catalyst to that was heartache. Okay. My oldest, Eric John, like I said, was born when I was 19. He was the epitome of the oldest brother. I mean, he was just a leader from the time that he was born. He and Ethan's my second oldest, they were only 12 months apart, and so, you're going on hyperdrive, trying to figure out how to deal with their emotions, how to keep yours in check while you're keeping theirs in check. And Eric John was always just one of those kids that I could tell could do more, but because of my protectiveness, I held him back a little bit, like climbing the trees at 2 years old. You can't climb a tree at 2 years old. The things that you feel like might hurt them. Okay. So growing up though, Eric John and I, because I was so young, I learned very, very quickly that he was taking cues from me as far as how to communicate. And because of my young age, I was reactive just as he was reactive. And it was this never ending chaos. And so I remember when he was 5 years old, and, now I've got 3 children, okay, at this point, and I'm feeling always elevated, and every situation was getting elevated as far as, just the energy of the house was very high. And so I got down on his level and I said, Eric John, I said, listen, buddy, I need you to talk with respect, and I need you to talk with honesty and respect. And I promise you, I will always listen. And I promise that I will talk to you in the same manner. And so what we started doing was, instead of, just doing and then reacting, we started thinking about it. And the more we practiced that, the more peace we felt. Because Eric John, I will say this, his higher thinking, he was thinking about things, but I wasn't ready for him to do it yet. Okay. So I had to really hear him. He was this person that had these ideas. I saw what he was trying to do as an older person and a mother. I thought, no, there's no way that you're ready for that, but he was.
But you were in the middle of it. You're a young mom now. So
yes.
you're balancing, like a juggling act, all this going on. And it's hard to even look at that son and process what's going, because I got to look over here. I got this going over here and over there. Yeah. You know what you didn't do? And I'm going to say, you didn't pause. Am I right?
Not pause. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all.
It is. Don't we all learn the best way for the things that really didn't work out very well? I mean, you're wondering.
For sure.
Or you are, riding along as a parent, and you're doing your best and you're using what you know. And then there's things that just aren't working. And the type of household I had, I was the head of the household. My husband at the time was Army. He was gone a lot. It was up to me to be able to juggle all the things, and I wasn't doing it well. And so that pause, what I was encouraging Eric John to do, was more for me than for him. I was making a pact with him, like, all right, we're going to start practicing this together. And I did find that there was more peace in the house, and all the other, situations beyond that, they were learning experiences, but pausing literally saved us a lot of feelings that didn't feel good, that weren't comfy. And so, fast forward, being the older brother, he made goals early in life, and he they were small and large, but he went along, and the way that he conducted himself was, I'm going to make a goal and I'm going to take the energy and the time to reach that goal. Okay. And even if the goal ultimately wasn't reached, all the things he did up until that was never wasted. So this goal maybe didn't happen. So I'm going to use what I have to create a new goal and go from there. Well, ultimately, he and the ninth grade wanted to go to the University of Minnesota, which is, homegrown, college up in the Twin Cities. And he did the work to be able to be accepted there, and beyond that, along the way, he also had a huge servant's heart. So he knew that he wanted to serve in, the armed forces in some way. He had said that when he was 5 or 6 years old. When the kids were growing up, I always, encouraged them. I was like, so what makes you tick? What makes you excited? Because I feel like those things that make us who we are, they're already in there. God has already given them to us. And when we hone in and we focus on what is it that excites me? Because my excitement is not the next person's excitement.
Well, isn't that what you're referring to, known as your purpose?
Yes, yes. So basically, just trying to get them to look what are you good at? What makes you excited? What comes natural? And Eric John, I was asking him those things. What do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, well, Mommy, I want to be in the Army like Daddy. I want to teach everybody about Jesus, and I want to be in the rodeo. Pretty squared up. I'm telling you, if you look at what he did in his life, what was then, was what he built upon.
Well, he knew what his purpose was, knew but didn't really know, but knew at a very early age.
Yes, and I think we all do, if we're if we're championed in the right way, if we have people asking you to reflect on how you're feeling and just really look inside and open up your eyes to the things that, what I'm doing isn't the same thing that my neighbor needs to be doing in order to be successful. Because we all have, like you had said, a purpose. We all have these wonderful gifts that we're attributing. And when we hone in and we're doing, it doesn't feel like much. I mean, you're still working, but it doesn't feel like as much work because you're pouring out what God is pouring into you, and it's just such a nice little transfer of energy. So it's good. So Eric John, very early on, like you said, knew.
Wow.
Yeah.
I relate because I wanted to do this since I was 9.
For real. Okay. Did you do them in your bedroom? Like, did you do mock ones where you had to push record and play at the same time on a little disc?
Jessica, you have no idea. Single mom, had a twin sister, no money.
Right.
This is what I wanted to be on the radio. I taught myself electronics. I built PC boards. I built a mixer. I built a transmitter so I could get on. I stole my sister's turntable because I needed to.
Right.
I get yelled at all the time. And I would make up tapes. And just like you said, and when I was 17, I was interning at a cable station, and the general manager worked at a radio station. I had no confidence, I'm just, playing. Right. He took the tape out of my jacket, submitted it, and that's how I got my first job. And that was, I'm going to say it here. You ready?
Yeah.
And that was 45 years ago. And I'm still doing it. I'm still on the air on a radio station. I'm doing this. So I knew.
You do. Yeah.
I knew from the beginning, like your son, like you just know what you want to do, and there's passion behind it. And the service end of it, he knew that not just because Dad did it, but just that's what he wanted to do. He felt a calling.
Yeah.
Wow.
He went to college, and when he went to the Marine recruiter's office, and he picked the Marines because scholastically, that came easy to him. He wanted to test his mettle physically. And to him, the Marines were the ultimate. If you were to pick anything out there when he was researching, the training that they have to go to, he found that the Marines were going to ask more of him than the other branches. And so that's why he picked it. He wanted to set that bar for himself to achieve that goal. And so that's where it landed him in the Marine recruiter office. Yeah.
Wow. You said something before, and I got a visual. I want to jump back to it. We're just about out of time. I could keep going with you. It's great. Where you're reaching goals, and then you get to it, and then you realize that's not exactly the direction I wanted to go in. But it wasn't for naught. When we talk about wasting energy, I had a visual of somebody climbing a mountain and getting kind of to the top. And that's not really where they wanted to be. However, when they're at the top, they got a view of everything around so they could process, this isn't exactly, but I did learn something because I'm up here and I'm going to jump over that mountain.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have been able to see that option had I not got to this level.
Yeah.
And so that's where nothing is ever wasted. Let's go to my fourth boy. He is a natural when it comes to football. He's 18 years old. He's been playing with 3 older brothers, though, and they weren't going to give him the easy. If he couldn't hold his weight, he could sit on the sideline. And so the reason I bring him up is he's been playing football and he has this natural talent and he is so fun to watch. And just a few months ago, he's going to be graduating soon. He said out of the blue, and he doesn't talk much, so when he talks, we all listen. He said, "Mom, I don't feel like I want to play football for college." He had all these people, trying to recruit him. He had Italy trying to recruit him for a team over there. And I said, "You don't want to play football?" Okay. I said, he goes, "Well, yeah, because I'm not going to play for the rest of my life." And I said, "Well, sometimes the talents and the stuff that God gives you to do, like football, is just, you don't have to work for some of the things that other people have to work really hard for to be on the team. Maybe it's not football that you're going to do for the rest of your life, but maybe it's football is what's going to bring you to your next level up, that to find your purpose." So yeah, I agree with you. You don't have to play football for the rest of your life, but just know that don't miss this opportunity.
That's one more step on the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, I relate to everything you're saying, including the kids. I have a 16-year-old who lives with me. I have a son who's in college. He just turned 19. So
Okay.
yeah. Living the same kid life there.
Yeah, we are.
Wonderful talking with you, Jessica. If somebody wants to connect with you, wants to walk a journey with you, even just have a conversation to figure it all out and see if it's a right fit in terms of life coaching, best way to find you, how do they do that?
Well, they can email me. It's my name, Jessica Niss, at Selah LLC.net. So just my name at SELAH.LLC.net, NET. And otherwise, I do have a website, and you can contact me through there. And that's www.selahllc.net. So that's SELAHLLC.net. And you'll be able to get on my website, and there's ways to contact me through there too.
Selah means?
Pause. Yeah.
Pause, everybody. Take a moment.
Take a minute for yourself. Yeah,
totally. So much more to talk about next time we get together. Wonderful having you on here, Jessica. You are an inspiration. I don't know what you're doing, but you're so grounded and just easy to talk with. And I could see how that translates very well in terms of coaching people.
Thank you. Thank you. It was good to meet you this morning. I look forward to next week and the weeks after. So
likewise. Selah.
Selah. All right. Bye.
All right. Take care. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.